Okay, so after close to like 45 minutes, this is what I've got from from VR sculpting. I didn't quite realize just how wrong it went. I didn't see any of this those things that we see, for example, on the shoes. That well, the whole model is just curving inwards on itself, right? So obviously this is not the desired look. This is not something that I want to mimic. However, there are some things that are, I think, are working pretty well. In particular, the arms and this section in here. So this is pretty much the tightness that I was trying to explain, at least the tightness that I wanted to perhaps get into the original, I guess, or into the state of the sculpt that is the current one. So it's not something that I will be using as a reference, or perhaps not even, let me put it this way, I'm not going to be trying to replicate that on a more kind of cleaner version of the sculpt, because this is just one mesh that I put into VR, and I wanted to just try something rather quickly and roughly. This is nonetheless pretty interesting. This is something to think about, something to analyze for sure. Some things that I can just perhaps tweak here in ZBrush, maybe get this to a more refined look, and maybe use that as a reference. Maybe even just try and perhaps by isolating elements, maybe try and align things to them. I'll see what kind of technique I can do. The interesting thing though is definitely this part, right? Something that I've mentioned at the beginning. So I didn't quite realize just how square, not probably the right way to explain it, but the silhouette from here, and this is not the angle that I would like to showcase this model in, definitely not. But the point here, or I guess the reason why it's important to look from every single angle when working on a sculpture, is that it all matters even when we look it from front, right? So I didn't quite realize that the arms, they were going naturally, I would say, but not very not in a very interesting way. So here everything is definitely tighter. The arms themselves, they are now no longer anatomically correct arms, right? They are very bendy, like they don't have any bones in here. But this is still very, very interesting. Like I said, this to me looks pretty good. Minus the anatomical and just issues on the mesh itself. So I will try and use that and fuse that into the model that I currently have, which is this is the state, and this is the VR version, right? So it was a interesting experiment for sure, and I'll see what I can get out of it once I start working in ZBrush again. And a few words about rendering, about texturing before we wrap it all up. This is not something that you will see in the videos, because I made this well, actually just a week ago, and I'm talking from December 2024. I even though I still wanted to make this well, I wanted to capture a little bit of Italian Renaissance in this model, because I thought it was fitting to the character, I guess, to the persona of Lex Fridman. But I didn't really like what I did previously when it comes to props, when it comes to environments and how it all looked. And so I've just made very simple things like the wall you can see behind well, you can see it all on your screen, right? You're watching it literally with me. But I made this, for example, this frame, very simple. Some ornaments, I think I also found them online for free, modified some of it. Definitely did some modeling of the actual frame inside of ZBrush, then Substance Painter for texturing, and that's basically it, right? You can see that it's all just 3D. This is not this is not some composition inside of Photoshop. The paintings, they're quite fun. I've used let me just try and get closer to them first. I've actually used artificial intelligence to generate those paintings. I've set well, it basically gave Midjourney a painting by Raphael, and gave the directions to what kind of paintings I was looking for, and there is also a little, I guess, idea behind the diptych, the two versions of the model that you see in the final versions, right? The one is I call it the innocent Lex, this one that you see, and the other one is called evil Lex, and I'm not sure if yes, I do have it stored in here. So this is the quote-unquote evil evil Lex, where Hedgie is kind of, you know, the thing that is running the show. I mean, at least that's how I kind of see it. But anyway, this is the other painting. It's also done inside of Midjourney, the same kind of process, right? And here it's obviously, if the original painting was rockets flying off, here the rocket is actually just in flames landing, so it's a catastrophe, right? And this is I thought it was a funny idea. At least to me it seems like something funny. But anyway, the thing that I wanted to mention in here when it comes to commentary, there's one thing that you will see inside of the raw videos is me assigning material to something that is lying on top of the model. So it's an outer shell that I made inside of it doesn't matter. I mean, I keep going back to saying I made it inside of 3ds Max, but it doesn't really matter. You can do it anywhere. But the idea is that I wanted to capture this Raphael-esque look to the model, to the kind of not necessarily to the model, but to the textures. And I knew that doing that just on the textures simply wouldn't work, because I would need to paint all the shadows, and if the model was to rotate, and the model is rotating, right, we can see it in here. I made some a turntable as well. So if the model was rotating like that, and I was to paint shadows inside of on the textures themselves, it simply would have looked rather strange. And I wanted to have this Raphael-esque look, even if the model was animating, right? And so I was doing some experimentation. I was trying to figure out how to achieve that. And one way I was able to more or less achieve what I wanted to is through this outer shell, and by assigning a material that is kind of rubber, almost rubber, right? You will definitely see me experimenting with that in the videos. I was basically able to create this kind of more shadowy look outside, not outside, but on the edges of the model. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's definitely there. If you look at, for example, at this side, right, with the shadowy side, if we turn it on and off, you can see that the light is hitting this this side, which is fine, right? But it's not what I wanted. I want to have this very kind of darkish look outside of the model. And because I'm using because I'm using Marmoset toolbag, there aren't that many options to experiment with things. Like it's not like this is Unreal Engine, right? In Unreal you would have been able to make something like this just on the shader itself. It probably would have been much easier task to do as well, because I was struggling. I was trying to sort out how to achieve something like this in a application that is just so limited, right? But I think this is working pretty well. It's like I said, it's a very small kind of detail, but it's definitely there. So if you look at the, for example, the knuckles in here, you can see that the shadow is well, it's doing the thing that I wanted to do. It creates this very soft, very kind of lovely effect, something that I definitely associate, definitely Raphael, but a lot of painters from the Italian Renaissance as well. And even the suit itself has this outer layer. It's just that for the purposes of turntable, I turned the, well, I switched the material, because if you see when I click, you can see what I'm actually selecting. It's the whole kind of shell of the model, right? It's lying on top of it. We can't just see it because it's transparent. But if I turn it off, you can see that everything is becoming a little bit kind of lighter. But the suit itself has two versions. One of them is just the suit cover, and another one is depending on the angle that I am looking at, right? So for example, for the innocent one, if I assign it in here, you can see just how big of a change is now that we're looking at, right? How big of a change is taking place compared to let's say this one. And I really liked this version, the innocent one, right? Because it's making the shadows almost extreme. It kind of looks rubbery, maybe too much, right? But it definitely has this kind of painted, at least to me, somewhat painted look to the model. And this is without doing this on textures. I mean, textures definitely still capture a lot of painterly effect. There's a lot of shadows, even though what you're looking at the shadows in here, for example, this is ambient occlusion, right? I didn't paint that, but it's still quite a bit of trickstery behind it. But the reason why there are so many materials is because when it comes to the material itself, I'm playing with the normals, right? And so if I was to rotate this particular material, right, assigned, well, if I was to rotate the model with this particular material assigned, you will see that as soon as the model is kind of rotating in an angle that is not workable, right? This is, I mean, like I said, this is because I'm just playing with the normals. So it's only from very few angles you could actually see this effect. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into black, right? The same goes for the evil look. So if I assign this material from this angle, it doesn't work, right? It's becoming just too dark. But if I rotate it to the angle that I do like, I believe it's somewhere here. I think I've just messed something up because it's a bit too much as well in here. It's definitely paintery looking, right? But it's a bit too much. I think I've changed some settings somewhere. But again, if we compare the material, right, this is how much is changing. And so this is the whole idea behind this outer shell, something that you see in the videos, me playing with the material, playing with the settings. This is precisely why I did it. I just wanted to not have I didn't want to simply have a model that looks good. I also wanted to capture some kind of effect that I thought was fitting to the character that I was making, which is, like I said, it's Italian Renaissance. And when it comes to texturing, there isn't much to comment on. The experimentations are, at least some of them are in the videos. I've made quite a few of them off camera because I was completely lost. Like I said, I wasn't sure whether this was going to be or supposed to be a sculpture, or it was supposed to be just a normal, quote-unquote normal asset. And so I've assigned many different patterns to it. I made it out of bronze, I made it out of marble. I was just, like I said, I was all over the place. I wasn't sure what I would go with in the end. But as you can see, the final version, the final model is very simple. There isn't much to discuss in here. The process is recorded. It wouldn't make any sense for me to just go and talk about this layers in here step by step. I guess the thing though is to mention maybe something about the UVs. I wasn't doing too good of a job when it comes to UVs. I just wanted to make sure that everything was nice and clean when it comes to UVs. So when it comes to packing, perhaps this is not a good job. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's just that it's serving the purpose. Now the kind of the painterly look that we see in the final version, just to illustrate how much is actually painted inside of the albedo. So quite a bit, right? You can see all the shadows, for example, the belts. You can see just how much ambient occlusion is in here. You can see it all in here, right? But this is obviously intentional. This is because I wanted to have a specific look to the model. Normally, if we were to make a video game character, normally, obviously depending on the style of the game, of the project, we wouldn't do anything like this, especially in those areas like here, for example, right? We see the shadows where the blazer is kind of cut. Right, you would not have something like this, because this whole section might be moving, and you definitely don't want to have any shadows in here. Some areas, maybe for example, the pockets, they could have used the same effect as I have, for example, here, right? I could have perhaps painted them here. This is me looking at the model 2 years later, so I can definitely see my shortcomings. I can definitely see what I could have improved. But I just wanted to give you a look at the model without the process kind of being sped up. And also, this is I've made a few things in 2024 when I opened the model, when I opened the files. I've changed I fixed, I would say, or adjusted the textures on the hands, textures on the face, definitely some smaller modifications on the suit. But I think the biggest one that well, not the biggest one, but the thing that actually kind of mattered the most is I made a layer that I assigned to everything, to the whole to the whole model, right? I have quite a few texture sets in here, but because it was just so contrasty, and when I was rendering it, it just simply didn't look right. It was too sharp, and I didn't want to do anything in post effects. I didn't want to modify the model in any way, right? So everything that you see when it comes to my portfolio presentation of this model, everything that you see inside of in the trailer, it's all just rendered inside of Marmoset toolbag, right? There is no post-production, nothing like that. And so I wanted to make the model look a little bit better, and so I've made a kind of decontrast layer, right, on everything, and changed some colors as well. Originally the suit was kind of bluish, dark bluish color. The reason for it is not because I didn't know what Lex was wearing, the kind of color that his suits have. It's just that it was rather boring when I was looking at the renders. And I mean, you can't go, on the one hand, you can't go any more boring than black, but on the other hand, black is definitely not a boring color. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but black is a very interesting color. It definitely works on some people, definitely doesn't work on other people. It's a different a whole different class altogether. But I thought that for my personal results that I was going for, I thought that black was just simply not working. I thought I wanted to have more color to the presentation. In the end, I decided to not do that, and basically switched the suit to something closer to black, right? This is definitely not black. This is gray, and it's looking probably even brighter on the final render. But I still do like this new version. And for the eyes, for example, something that is not recorded because I didn't do any textures on the eyes. The eyes are taken from the scan that I've used for the head, and I've literally just made the eyes a little bit brighter in Photoshop. So texture-wise, I just crank it up when it comes to brightness, and left them as is. In one of the during the process, I did paint my own. I painted myself the eyes when I was doing the modeling. I just wanted to have something for presentation's sake, but as a final asset, as a final version, I went with the pre-made asset, and that worked just fine for me. And when it comes to face, just a little small thing to add at the very end of everything. This is, I think this was the kind of pre-final version, something that I left the model, the stage at which I left the model before I got back to it in 2024. But it was just looking rather, too red, right? And at the same time, just looking too noisy. So there are just a couple of things that I did in here to definitely decrease the redness of the skin, but also to make it a little bit more even. And if we imagine this layer, this outer shell lying on top, and it's made out of rubber, some of those things are going to be smoothed out even further, right? So that's kind of it. There isn't, I think, much more that I can talk or do some commentary on. The whole process, when it comes to not just the whole kind of class, was me trying to use as many tools as I could. Definitely something. Some of them are definitely new for me, for sure. But even the texturing, the application itself, Substance Painter, that has been on the market for quite a few years now. Even here, the way I texture things, it's always following, I suppose, the structure that the program allows you to have, which is just basically using sliders, right? Everything here is automated. I barely painted anything. There are some masks, for example. This is for the stubble, but nothing major in here when it comes to doing manual work, right? Everything here is just driven through the textures that either I generated in here in Substance Painter, or I've just imported them from Marmoset toolbag, because I do all my baking inside of Marmoset instead of Substance Painter. The only two maps that I do in Painter are position and thickness, because it's just so fast and so easy. Everything else I import from Marmoset, right? So those things in here, they drive everything that we see when it comes to results of the texturing, and I really do like that. It's on the one hand, it can be viewed as something that is making people lazy almost, right? And I definitely can see the danger of people, modern contemporary character artists. That sounds very strange, but people who might be new to the field, this structure definitely, how should I put this? Well, it makes you analyze things perhaps less than not you, but the person might need to do, because previously, without sliders, right? Previously, without Substance Painter, you would do everything manually, and in order to manually paint certain things like edges, dirt, dust, those kind of things, you would just study the reference, right? You would study the images, the photos, and then you will kind of break it down into layers. If you're looking at dirt, there's like underneath layer, then there's layer in the middle, there's the layer on top, different colors and all these things. So you would normally use more analytical abilities and skills that you possess. In here, because everything is just automatically done, it's very easy to get carried away by having pre-made materials, by having pre-made masks and all of those things. But I guess the counter argument to that is that people who use Substance Designer to make some of those smart materials, I think they are they're just fine, because they are just as previously they are studying the actual reference, the actual material that they want to make very, very closely, and they pay attention to all of the details. So this is just something that I don't know, just I guess again some thoughts out, that all of those tools, the technologically driven tools, the automatic the tools that allow to automate things, there is definitely a darker side to them, right? It's they make people a little bit comfortable, and this is not always a good thing. It's always a good thing to develop your observation skills, to develop your analytical skills, right? And then on top of that, use the tools that we do have today. Anyway, a different conversation, definitely something that I enjoy talking about and thinking about. But this is it. Those are the final comments. I wanted to fill in some of the gaps when it comes to texturing and rendering, and that's it.